When it opened 137 years ago, the Suez Canal was called a modern wonder of the world, a 160-kilometer-long channel cutting through the desert between the Mediterranean and Red Seas. A voyage from Europe to India was shortened from 6 months to less than 6 weeks. Ferdinand de Lesseps, the French engineer who designed it, believed his canal to the Orient would create a sensation. He was right. Royalty from across Europe attended the canal's inauguration in 1869. The Vatican called it one of history's most glorious moments. Giuseppe Verdi composed the opera Aida in its honor. For Imperial Britain, the canal became a superhighway for its expanding empire. London now easily linked to its possessions in East Africa, India, the Far East, and its colony in Australia. But there was a problem. Egyptian money and Egyptian slave labor helped build the canal. The profits went to Britain and France. When Egyptian nationalists rebelled against the foreigners, it was English troops who took the lead in quelling the riots, declaring the country to be an indispensable possession of the British Empire. For nearly 75 years, Egypt tried in vain to evict the British. It's not until July 1956 that one man will finally succeed. Gamal Abdel Nasser. Nasser is a former army colonel who has come to the port city of Alexandria to celebrate the 4th anniversary of a military coup. The popular rebellion toppled the monarchy and then pushed Britain's colonial army out of Egypt. This charismatic new leader now runs the country, but its most vital asset, the Suez Canal, is still controlled by Britain and France. That's about to change.
التطورات اللي حصلت ان احنا صممنا نقوي جيشنا ونسلح جيشنا. صممنا تكون لنا شخصية مستقلة. صممنا تكون لنا حرية مستقلة. الغرض طبعا من هذا الإجراء.
We are not giving in to the colonialists, Nasser tells Egyptians. We are restoring our rights.
يتجه إخوة لكم من أبناء مصر ليديروا شركة القناة ويقوموا بعمل شركة القناة. الآن دلوقتي يستلموا شركة القناة.
The canal has been taken without a shot being fired. Nationalizing the Suez Canal is a stunning act of defiance.
It was a bombshell, of course, absolute bombshell. We were very happy, to tell you the truth, because it was the right of the Egyptians to do that. The Suez Canal was Egyptian.
It's the most important waterway in the world, the conduit through which Europe receives more than 75% of its oil.
It gave a tremendous sense of shock, because Britain had not yet really genuinely appreciated in the gut the full effects of the Second World War in depriving Britain essentially of the empire. The seizure of the Canal Company meant that Britain had suddenly been cut off from imperial power and influence in the world.
To Eden, Nasser is sounding like Hitler and Mussolini in the 1930s. His hatred for the man is growing by the hour.
We all know this is how fascist governments behave. And we all remember, only too well, what the cost can be in giving in to fascism.
Eden will do whatever it takes to bring about Nasser's downfall.
The canal must be run efficiently. It must be run in the interests not of one country, but of all.
Now the British had planned a nice little scheme which would demonstrate to the world the Egyptians were incompetent at running the canal.
Eden orders the European pilots who guide ships through the Suez Canal to resign. He then tries to overwhelm the inexperienced Egyptian replacements with a barrage of ships.
The ships were ready, poised, the pilots were withdrawn, and the Egyptians ran the canal perfectly.
Nasser's newly trained pilots actually increased the number of ships passing safely through the canal.
At the Portsmouth Naval Base, Britain prepares for the worst in the Suez crisis. Part of her mothball fleet, idle since World War II, is hastily made ready for action.
The crisis is heating up. Nasser is receiving massive military aid from the Soviet Union. He believes he is safe from British attack, but he is ignoring an enemy much closer and much more concerned with his growing military power: Israel. Taking control of the canal is a huge boost to Arab pride.
لنقضي على جميع آثاره ونحقق الصرح الحقيقي من روح السيادة ونحقق البناء الحقيقي من أبنية العزة والكرامة.
Nasser denounces Western imperialism in radio broadcasts heard across the Middle East.
وكما قلت لكم منذ قليل ليس عيب أن أكون فقيرا أو أن أعمل على بناء بلدي، ولكن العيب امتصاص الدماء. كانوا يمتصون الدماء، يمتصون حقوقنا ويسلبونها. اليوم
Despite growing support from their new ally, the Soviet Union, the Americans remain unconvinced.
They knew full well he was an anti-communist. They knew that he was putting communists in jail. He didn't let those communists out of jail when his relations improved with the Soviet Union.
By the fall of 1956, Eden's generals report that their invasion force is ready. They want to attack now, before winter sets in. But Eden is still trying to rally support for his war effort.
Our quarrel is not with Egypt, still less with the Arab world. It is with Colonel Nasser.
Increasingly, the British public is turning against him. He is about to give up when the arrival of a secret partner suddenly gives him a deadly new set of options. In the fall of 1956, Ben-Gurion is given an opportunity to strike first. He's invited to a secret meeting with top French officials at a villa outside Paris. Here, he's presented with an audacious plan to invade Egypt. A French Air Force general outlines the scheme.
And he had invented the following scenario, that Israel should attack Egypt. Thereupon, Britain and France, who had forces in the neighborhood, should say, we cannot allow this kind of war because it will interfere with the Suez Canal passage, which is absolutely vital for the whole world's commerce, and therefore we are going to intervene and hold the two countries apart.
Ben-Gurion wants to invade Egypt, but has no interest in the Suez Canal. For the sake of his allies, however, he agrees to make it look like Israel intends to seize it.
There was no strategic reason from our point of view to at all do that. The only point was that he could say it's not far from the canal. It was about 40 kilometers from the canal, or 45 kilometers. But when you look at big maps, then you can say, the drop was not far from the canal. That was enough to fulfill the needs of the British to say the canal is threatened.
Eden likes the new plan. Israel's phony attack on the canal will give him the excuse he's been looking for.